بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this 42nd episode of the Islamic Fiqh. Last time we met, we talked about the meaning of Riba, which is usury, and how severe such a sin is in Islam. And we were about to talk about the types of riba. And before we get into the types of riba, it is very essential to discuss the roots in fiqh so that you can understand the concept of riba. So the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he says, gold, if gold is sold for gold, silver for silver, wheat for wheat, barley for barley, dates for dates, or salt for salt, then it must be one for one, an immediate exchange. Whoever gives or asks for extra commits usury. The giver and the taker are the same. The hadith indicates 6 categories of what the Muslims, the people, used to deal with a lot. And the ulama, the scholars, looked into these 6 items, and they managed to divide them into 2 categories. These categories share the same common denominator. So they put gold and silver in one category, and they put wheat, barley, dates, and salt in another category. And then they worked their minds trying to find the justification. Why is there only these 6 that are mentioned? And is it only in these 6 that we can deal in riba? Or there are other categories that take the same ruling? So the most authentic opinion is that these 2 categories are the principles, and they signify, indicate to us what can come underneath them. So gold and silver, the reason and the justification is called al-thamaniyya, which scholars say that this is something that the Muslims, that the people have agreed upon it to be a price for something, which means that dollars, euros, reals, pounds, dirhams, dinars, all fall under the same category. Though, if we look at this banknote, this is nothing. This is a piece of paper. But because when I tell people, take this and give me 5 bags of bread, in this case, they and I agree that the 5 bags of bread costs 5 Saudi riyals. This is agreed upon. So they give me the bread and I give them the money. The second category is known as al-qut, that is weighed or that is measured by size. So wheat, barley, dates, and salt, these are part of what the people consume and feed upon. They can store it for weeks and months without fearing it would go rotten, like in the case of fruits and vegetables. And they are weighed or measured by size and not by quantity, like melons and apples and the things that we usually count. So scholars say these are the categories of riba. Why do we emphasize on us understanding the 6 items and what falls underneath them? Because now when we talk about the types of riba, this makes it more easy to understand. So the first category is al-thamaniya, it's a price of things. The second is that it is consumed and weighed or measured by size. From the second category, can we say iron, for example? He said, no, iron is not something that is consumed. Can we use tomatoes? And the answer is no. Tomatoes rot quickly and cannot be stored. So this is what the scholars said about the items of riba in a nutshell. Now let us talk about the types of riba. The most well-known type is riba al-fadl, the riba of increasing. And this is understood when we sell gold for gold, or silver for silver, or wheat for wheat, etc. So it has to be in the same item. So what do you mean? It means that if I have a 2 kilograms of dates that is not of a fine quality, and my friend has 1 kilogram of excellent quality dates. So I say to him, listen, take these 2 kilograms and give me 1 kilogram of excellent quality dates. He said, okay, no problem. There is a problem. This is clear riba. Bilal did the same thing at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Once he brought the Prophet ﷺ good dates. So the Prophet said, whoa, this is good dates. Where did you get it from? So Bilal said, I had 2 sa', so like 6, 7, 8 kilograms of bad dates. So I exchanged them for this 1 sa' of good dates. What did the Prophet's response was, alayhi salam? He said, awwah aynur riba. What you have done is the essence of usury and riba. You should have sold your 2 sa' for money, and then with that money you should have bought 1 sa' of good dates. So when it's in the same category, I give you 100 grams of used gold in exchange for 90 grams of good manufactured gold, riba. It has to be 100 grams of the same caliber in exchange for 100 grams of the same caliber. End of story. No questions asked. But why? Because this is how riba develops and progresses. And this is why Allah prohibited it. Now this is when we are selling and exchanging of the same item. I have a ton of good wheat, so I'd like to exchange it for 800 grams, 800 kilograms of brown wheat. Nope, no can do. It has to be the same. And you can cascade this to all types of the things that we mentioned, thamaniya, and being consumed and weighed or measured by size. So let's talk about reals. Let's talk about dollars. I have a $10 banknote, and I'd like to exchange it for coins so that I would make phone calls. So the guy says, okay, here are $9 in coins. I took $1 for my service charge. I'm okay with that. He's okay with that. It is not okay in Islam. This is riba. It has to be exactly $10 for $10. But the Prophet said, if the types, the items change, there's no problem as long as it is simultaneously exchanged. So for example, if I have 10 grams of gold, no one in his sound mind would exchange it for 10 grams of silver, because these are two different types, two different species, different categories. So 10 grams of gold, I'm willing to pay 450 grams of silver for that. Do you agree? He says, I agree. Give and take simultaneously, deal is done, no problem. I have 100 kilograms of wheat, and you have 20 kilograms of dates. Would you exchange? I have no problem. We exchange simultaneously, done deal. Halal. Because the categories, the items are different. What is not halal, it is to postpone the deal. So I have 10 grams of gold that I'm in urgent need of selling. And I say, I'll give you 450 grams of silver for that. He said, done deal. He said, on one condition, I'll give it to you tomorrow afternoon. No problem with me. Ruling? Haram. Why? It's silver and gold, two different types. Yes, but it was not done simultaneously. Let me wait. Okay, I'm too far. Anyhow, so the only way to do it is give and take. I have $100. This is equivalent to 375 Saudi riyals. Here you go, $100. Say, okay, I'll give you the money. I'll transfer you the money. I'll send you the money in the afternoon. Give me half an hour. Haram. It has to be hand to hand, simultaneously. So this is what is intended in the hadith. So riba al-fadl, the first category, is the increase in the same item. Gold to gold, silver to silver, etc. What is riba al-nasi? Now in Arabic, al-nasi is to delay and postpone. And Allah mentioned in chapter 9, Surah At-Tawbah, إنما النسيء زيادة في الكفر, that delay is an increase in kufr and in disbelief. What kind of delay? The Arabs used to know that there are 4 sacred months in the lunar calendar. إن عدة الشهور عند الله 12 شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض منها 4 حرم. There are 12 months per lunar year since Allah created the heavens and the earth. Among them there are 4 sacred months. These sacred months are 3 in a row and 1 isolated. The 3 in a row are the month of Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah and Muharram. 3 in a row. Number 11, number 12 and number 1 in the Hijri calendar. And number 7, which is Rajab, Rajabu Mudar. And we won't go into detail about why they're sacred, but the scholars say that it is prohibited to initiate fighting in it, to begin fighting. is not permissible, among other things. So the Arabs pre-Islamic era, when this month is Muharram, the first month of the lunar calendar, and they wanted to invade another tribe. But the elders said, no, no, this is Muharram, we can't invade them. So they said, no, 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 we'll switch with the following month. So this is Safar now, and we will delay. So they kept on delaying months according to their whims and desires. So month number 1 became number 2. And after a while, month number 7 became number 9. And it kept on being mixed until the Bi'thah, until the revelation came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the whole cycle went back to where it started. So the months were fixed according to the right calendar with Allah Azza wa Jal when the Prophet ﷺ was being prophesied and made a messenger of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is the origin of An-Nasi. It's a delay in time. Now this delay in time in Riba is usually associated with the debt. So the Arabs used to lend people money. So they lent me 1,000 euros. And I'm supposed to pay at the end of the month. I pay the money back. So when the end of the month comes, the loan shark comes and says, where's my money? No interest. I just want my money back. And I say, Wallahi, I apologize, I don't have the money on me. He said, okay, I'll give you a couple of more months, but you have to add 200 euros to that. So I said, okay. So after 2 months, he comes to collect his 1,200, and he says up front, if you want an extension, you have to give me interest. You have to give me riba. And this is called riba nasi. This is one sort or type of it. And it's called riba dain as well, because it's related to debt. Another type is when there's a delay in handing. So I have a ton of wheat, and I'd like to buy 400 kilograms of dates. You agree, you give me the value, the dates up front, and I'll tell you I'll deliver my ton of wheat next month. And you agree for that. This is not permissible because this is nasi. There is a delay in delivery, and this delay is considered to be haram and not permissible. Now, the main principle of riba is that there's a rule among the scholars, the fuqaha, and they know it by saying أيما قرض جر نفعا فهو ربا. And some say that this is a hadith, but most likely it's not an authentic hadith, yet the consensus of scholars upon it. Any loan that draws benefit for the lender is riba. And they give so many stories about it. And among the stories is that Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on his soul, once lent his neighbor some money. And it was a habit of Abu Hanifa to sit outside his house in the shade of his neighbor's house from Asr till Maghrib. And all of a sudden he stopped. So his neighbor asked him, why don't you sit in my shade anymore? It's on the street. He said, because I had lent you money. And I'm afraid that sitting in the shade of your house would be a benefit drawn over that loan I had given you. And it would be riba. Subhanallah. Any benefit one gets over a loan, this is considered to be riba. I'll give you a number of manifestations of this so that you can widen your horizons a little bit. In India, and I mentioned this before, I think here or somewhere else, and in the subcontinent, they have a big house. They give it to a person who's rich for rent. Yet they take a very large and huge deposit. And they take a minimal fee, something negligible as rent. So instead of paying $1,000 a month rent, they pay $5 rent, which is nothing. Because this is a loan, which is the deposit they had given, and the interest they're getting is living in that big house, renting it for nothing. Another example, which maybe most of you will be shocked to hear and probably would hate me for that, but I'm used to it, is when you have a credit card and a debit card and they give you cash back. When it's credit card, the cashback is halal. Why? Because I am borrowing from them $10,000. I bought merchandise. I paid it the next week. So they give me 1% cashback. I didn't borrow, they didn't borrow anything from me so that they're giving me interest. No, it's the opposite. In debit cards, it's haram. Because when I come to the debit card, I charge it, I put in it $10,000. So when I buy with this $10,000, this is the money I lent it to the debit card company. And they're paying it off. They're using it in transactions and interest and whatever. But they're utilizing the $10,000 that I've deposited until I consume all of it. Then they give me cash back. And this is interest money. And this is haram. This is a gift. Likewise, I am a multi-millionaire. I wish. And I have a bank account that is so fat. I'm a VIP client. Every single year, the admins of the bank call me, Sheikh Asim, so we have a humble gift that we would like to give you. And they give me a big box of chocolates. They give me a mobile phone, latest model. They give me few things as gift. Wow, man, I'm a lucky man. Why are they giving me? Are they giving it to me because I have a white beard? I'm an old man. My eyes are green. They're not green, but maybe or blue. Why are they giving me this? Oh, these gifts. These gifts are riba. But I'm not dealing in riba. I have a current account. I don't have a saving account. I don't take a penny from them. Yes, you don't. But you're depositing your money in their bank. And your money, which is deposited in their bank, is actually a loan. They're not going to put your wealth in a box and lock it and put it safe in the basement. Not going to do that. They're taking their wealth, utilizing it by building a building, giving it a loan, an interest-based loan, buying currency, putting it in treasury, buying stocks, all of these things, which is a loan from me to them. Because if they lose their stocks, if their banks burnt to the ground, if the currencies fall, today I want my $1 million back. And they'll give it to me immediately. Without any excuses. Oh, we did this, we did that. We had a failure in our business. Nothing of the sort. And deal. So this is a loan given to them. Whatever you get is riba. Now, not only, let me rephrase that. Not every benefit you get is riba. If it's unconditional, if it was not anticipated, there's no problem in that. I'll give you an example. Akhi, I need $10,000 for 1 month. I need a loan. Can you please give it to me? Sure, Sheikh. Whatever you wish. Here's a check. Faddal. I take it, I cash it. After 1 month, I come to the brother. Akhi, barakallahu feek. Here is a check of $11,000. I said, what's this? I gave you only 10,000. I said, yes, I know. This 1,000 is a gift, a gesture of goodwill. I said, no, Sheikh, I cannot take it. This is riba. No, it's not riba. Because it was not conditioned in the beginning, prior. It was not stipulated, not even hinted. Because some people say, okay, Sheikh, this is $10,000. You may return it after 1 month and don't forget us from whatever kindness you may give. This is hinted. The Prophet ﷺ once borrowed a camel from a man. And he told him, once we get from the sadaqah, I'll give you back your loan. And the camel was of 2 years of age, which was young. So when the camels of charity came, the Prophet ordered Abu Rafi' to pay the man back. So Abu Rafi' came, O Prophet of Allah, we could not find the same age of the man's camel. We found 5 years of age, which is much more expensive. So the Prophet said to them, give it to him. The best of people are the ones who repay their debts best. So the man did not stipulate any conditions and was not anticipating any increase, nor hinted to it. The Prophet's habit, ﷺ, was always to repay better than what he had received in the beginning. And this is totally legit. The riba is when there is something between us that we would like to settle in a sense or agree upon. Now we move on to, this is riba. Huh? I heard one of the so-called scholars cascading this to anything. So he said, riba al-fadl, anything that you exchange that is similar to another thing, extra. And this is wrong, totally wrong. The thing that is not permissible to be exchanged extra are the 6 items or whatever falls underneath them. But if I go to a mobile shop and I say, Akhi, this is an iPhone 5 SE. This is 4 years old. And it's one of the best phones that I had ever owned in my life. And I advise you, I think there are a few in the market and it's very cheap, but it's very old looking, small, people don't like it. I love it. So I go to the market and I say to the mobile shop's owner, Akhi, I need a iPhone 12 or 11. He said, well, this costs you an arm and a leg. So I said, how much would I have to pay you if I want to give you my mobile? He said, you have to pay me another $2,800. Whoa, that's a lot of cash, man. Okay, I have like 3 of those. So can I bring 3 mobiles? He said, bring them. So I bring him 3 mobiles. One is a Huawei, one is Samsung, one is iPhone. And looks at him, okay, I'll give you this iPhone 11 for these 3 mobiles. Then one says, Sheikh, this is riba. Why? Because you're exchanging 1 for 3. And this is totally riba. This is what you taught us in the class. I didn't teach you this. Come on, don't misunderstand me and misquote me. I said the 6 items that the Prophet ﷺ indicated, these are the haram thing to have fadl, riba al-fadl, an increase in it, of the same category. Gold to gold, silver to silver, wheat to wheat, barley to barley, dates to dates, salt to salt. Or what falls underneath them, such as currencies. So you don't sell $100 for $105. Totally riba. It has to be the same. But if they differ, so I have 2 cars that are 3 years old, and I take them to the dealer's shop and I take 1 car this year's model. No problem. Because it's neither price to buy things, and it's neither something consumed and weighed at the same time. So you have to understand this concept in order to understand what riba is. And when you deal in your transactions, you should, okay, yeah, I remember taking a good class and I understand where riba is coming from, and most likely this is not riba. Let me ask. And you ask and you learn. This is how you gain knowledge. Analyzing, asking, going back to the fundamentals of fiqh that you had learned, usul al-fiqh, which is a very important subject, going back to the Islamic fiqh, which we read from A to Z as we are attempting to do here, then go to the 2nd level of Islamic fiqh, to the 5th level, which is more expandable and more branches and many more issues to ponder upon. This gives you the mentality of a faqih, a juror, a scholar who can understand, not jump to conclusions saying halal, haram without thoroughly going through it. Now we have the following section. I don't know if we're gonna make it, but inshallah we'll give it a shot. It's called surety. In Arabic it's called ar-rahn. In normal language we call it pawning, to a pawn shop. So what is surety? It is defined as giving something of value as a security for a debt. Let me turn this off because I'm getting cold. 1 second. Okay. Alhamdulillah. So in Arabic they call it توثيق دين بعين. It is to confirm and guarantee a debt with something tangible in your hand. So I need $1,000, akhi. No problem, but give me something to guarantee my money back. So I said, okay, here's my watch. How much is your watch? It's $300. There's no way. Give me something more expensive. Okay, here's my Rolex. How much is your Rolex? It's 10,000. No problem. So it has to be something valuable to ensure that I'll get my debt back. This is mentioned in the Qur'an, where Allah says, and if you are on a journey and cannot find a scribe, then a security deposit should be taken. And this was also practiced by the Prophet ﷺ. Our mother Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, tells us that the Prophet ﷺ once needed food, needed barley. And at the time, the Muslims, the Arabs, the people used to eat and consume barley. Nowadays, barley is rarely consumed by humans in our country, and usually it's fed to the cattle. So the Prophet went, alayhi salatu wasalam, to borrow food from a Jew. He wanted to borrow some barley from a Jew. And he gave the Jew his iron shield as a pawn, as a surety, so that the Jew can guarantee that he will get his money back, and if not, he can sell that guarantee and take his debt and give the money back to the borrower. There are rulings mentioned in the book. Among them is the thing that you pawn must be permissible to sell. So for example, I need a $10,000 a loan. So say, okay, what are you going to pawn me? So I said, okay, look, this masjid, I pawn this masjid. I say, okay, masjid is very expensive. Yes, but I cannot sell the masjid. I cannot inherit the masjid. I cannot give the masjid. So you cannot sell it, then what use of it to you? Say, okay, I have a dog, a German Shepherd. That's a good dog. It's been with me for 3 years. I'll keep it as pawn until I bring you back the money. Not permissible. Why? It's a good dog. Because I can't sell the dog to regain my initial money that I had lent to you. Dogs are not allowed to be sold. Bottles of, I have a good bottle of red wine, 1986. It's a good year. So can you please accept it and give me $1,000? No, this is not permissible. So first, it has to be something that can be sold. Secondly, it is essential to know the amount of surety, its type and description. I need $1,000, akhi. Sure thing. What are you going to pawn to me? This bag. In it there is so and so and so and so. Here you go. So okay, you have to make sure that it contains what I've described to you, so that when I don't pay you the $1,000 back, at least you can sell it. But if you open the bag and it's full of old trainers or something that has no value, so it has to, or it is something that you and I did not count in the beginning, and when I came to pay back the money, you gave me the things that I pawned, and I said, no, they were double the amount, not this only. So this, to eliminate any sort of disagreement, has to be specified by description, by amount, by type. Thirdly, the person who's giving the surety should be a person who is qualified to take such an action. So, I need $1,000. What are you going to pawn me? So I have my brother's mobile phone. No, that's not valid. It's not yours. You are not allowed to sell it. How are you allowed to pawn it? 4, neither party giving the surety nor the accepting it can dispose of the pledged article. So now you gave me the $1,000. I gave you my mobile phone in exchange to guarantee your money back, and you decided to sell it. Yeah, but the debt is due in a month's time. Yeah, I don't know. I know, but I need to sell it. I just need the money. No, this is haram. You can't do that. It has to be consensual. Number 5, it is not permissible to benefit by the pledged article. So I took a $10,000 loan from you, and I kept my Impala SS, a vintage expensive car, in your garage. And every day you take it for a spin. What is this? Well, it's in my garage. No, akhi, you're not allowed to use it. I placed my Rolex with you and pawned it with you, and you're wearing it, going to parties, etc. It's not permissible. This is something you're entrusted with. You should safekeep it. Scholars say that the only condition for me to use what was pawned with me is when it's an animal that I have to feed. So if it's a cow or a sheep and I graze it, feed it, they say that in this case it's okay to milk, because the milk is in exchange for the food I'm giving, because I'm not going to charge you for the food. The animal is with me. I'm not going to charge you for the food when you bring the loan back, unless we agree upon that. So if you took the loan, gave me your sheep, and you said, listen, whatever you feed it, when I pay back the debt, I'm going to pay you for the food. In this case, it's haram for me to use the milk. But if this condition was not stipulated and I'm the one who's feeding it, it's permissible for me to milk it and use it. Number 6, this pawned item is not a loan. When you took $1,000 from me and gave me your watch is not a loan. It is pawned. It's a safe place for me to guarantee that I'm getting my money back. So if my house were to burn to the ground due to force majeure, not my doing, when you come back with the $1,000, you have no right to demand that I pay you for your watch. I was doing you a favor, man. It wasn't my mistake. This is a deposited thing, not a loan. And this is a big difference. If I borrow $1,000 from you, and I took the $1,000 and put it in my wallet and somebody steals the wallet, I have no right to come into you and say, Wallah, may Allah make it easy for you, akhi, but the loan has been stolen, so may Allah reward you for it. No, I have to pay you back the $1,000. But if you, before leaving town, you brought your car and said, can I park it in your garage for safekeeping? I said, be my guest, you're my neighbor. So you park it and you travel. And lightning strikes and the car is burnt to the ground. Or a thief breaks into my house, passes all security measures, and steals your car. When you come back, I'm not obliged to give you a penny, because I was doing you a favor. I was trying to help you by keeping your car in my garage. I didn't do anything wrong. So if the item that is pawned with me was damaged or stolen or broken without any transgression from my side or negligence, two things, transgression and negligence. What does that mean? If you keep your car in my garage and I take it for a spin every afternoon, this is called transgression, because I'm not allowed to use it. Negligence is when I keep it outside my house with the windows rolled down and the key in the ignition, and I go to bed to sleep. Following morning, the car is not there. This is called negligence. In these two cases, transgression or negligence, I'm obliged to pay for a similar thing. I have to substitute you with a similar cost or maker or kind of it, because it's my fault. So I think we will stop here. Now, again, it's a deposit, but the final point is important. What happens if I don't pay off my debt to you? So you complain to the judge and tell the judge, listen, I have his car, but I don't want his car. I want my money back. So the judge orders me to pay and I refuse. The judge threatens me of jail time and I still don't want to pay. Then the judge orders me to go to prison. and to do time. Only then the judge authorizes me to sell the car, get my $1,000, and the rest is deposited in my in the one who borrowed the money and refused to give it back. It's deposited in his account, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. So we will stop here, inshallah, and go to the questions. So the first question is, why is this not moving? Haslin says, is it okay to count tasbih in a counter for fixed number of dhikr? For example, La ilaha illallah 100 times. Many times I miss the count. If I do it on my fingertips, the answer is yes. Using counter or using the beads, prayer beads, this is permissible. But the reward on doing it on your right hand fingers is better. And you can do La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu mulku hamdu wa shay'un qadir 5 times, and with your left, this is 5, a set of 5. Do it again, a set of 10, a set of 15 until 25. Then you do that 4 times, and this is 100 if you wish. Fatima says, the Prophet ﷺ said, the gates of paradise are opened on Mondays and Thursdays. Allah forgives every servant who does not associate anything with him except a man with hatred between him and his brother. It will be said, delay these two until they reconcile. Delay these two until they reconcile. What, Sheikh? So is it compulsory to reconcile the old hatred and problems to be forgiven by Allah? This hadith is referring to people who boycott one another. So if you boycott your sister or your colleague, and whenever you meet one another, you look the other way. When someone says Assalamu alaikum, you don't reply. And when you say Assalamu alaikum, they don't reply. This is what is included in the delay. But if you have normal relationship, Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam, end of story. I have hatred in my heart towards that person. There's feud, there's beef between us. But it doesn't show. It's just Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam, nothing else. No, this is not falling under this hadith, inshaAllah. And some scholars say that it is related to Allah's favor every Thursday and Mondays to forgive those who did not even repent. But if people have repented, they won't be considered in this hadith, and Allah knows best. Rabi'a bint Iqbal says, the dua we say at the end of tashahhud, Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika, is also to be read at the end of sunnah and nafil salat, after the tashahhud as well. The answer is yes. And as in some places, it is mentioned to be said after fard salah. No, this is to be said at the end of fard salat, voluntary salat, nafil salat, before the salam. Because Ibn Taymiyyah has clearly stated that dua is done before salam, dhikr is done after the salam. Fida says, can you give examples of formula by action in selling? I think that he's referring to al-qabul wal-ijab. So there is a verbal formula, which is, I sell you this remote for $10, and you say, I accept. Deal is done. And there is a formula of action, such as, I go to the counter, I give this to the seller, or I put it on the counter, and I take a candy bar worth of 5 riyals. I'm diabetic, I'm not going to take a candy bar, but hypothetically speaking. He didn't say a word. I didn't say a word. I just took it and I put the money. There's no problem in that. In so many places in America, for example, or in the UK, there's a newspaper stand. You put the fee, it opens, you take the newspaper and leave. This is a formula by action, and Allah knows best. Abdul Qadir says, is it permissible to give materials instead of cash as zakat? The most authentic opinion is that this is not permissible, unless there is a legitimate reason for that. So many of us would tend to want to control the poor. So I say, okay, my zakat money is 1,000 euros. I'm gonna buy food, cooking oil, flour, dates, spaghetti and macaroni, pasta in general, some this, some that, and I'll give it to the poor. Why? Because this is better than giving them in cash and they would waste it Allah knows where. So, it's none of your business, akhi, where they spend their money. As long as they're poor and needy and they're deserving to get zakat, give it to them. Allah Azza wa Jal, if you analyze, I think we spoke about this, maybe not, or some here or somewhere else, who remembers? I don't even remember what I had for lunch today, because I'm fasting. Anyhow, Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned in Surah At-Tawbah, chapter 9, in the ayah related to zakat, verse 60, إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِي, the letter L, لِي الْفُقَرَى وَالْمَسَاكِينَ وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُم. These four categories, the li in lil-fuqara, in Arabic, it's known as lit-tamlik, meaning I have to give the money to them in their hands. They do with it whatever they want. And then Allah says, وَفِي الرِّقَابِ وَالْغَارِمِينَ. وَفِي, meaning that it's not li. It's wafi, meaning that if I buy a slave and free him, I didn't give the money to the slave directly. It doesn't matter. If someone is in real debt and I go to the one who lent him and I said, how much you want from Mr. Ahmed? He says, 10,000. I said, okay, here's the 10,000 from my zakat money. Done deal. I don't have to go to Ahmed and tell him, this is 10,000, you give it to the one who had lent you. No. So this is the difference. You are not to control the poor, thinking that, no, I'll buy them clothes for Eid. Give them cash money in their hand. They buy medication, they pay the rent, they pay the bills, they buy food. It's their money, and they may do with it whatever they want. Maturiu says, which is more beneficial to a woman, praying in the masjid or praying in the house? No doubt that the Prophet ﷺ answered this question when he said that the prayer of a woman is far better in her home than praying in the masjid. Not only that, he elaborated more when he addressed one of his female companions. He said, I know that you love to pray in my masjid. And we know that the prayer in the Prophet's masjid is 1,000 times better than elsewhere, except the masjid of Mecca, Al-Haram. So he said, I know that you like and love to pray with me in my masjid. However, your prayer in your house is better than praying in my masjid. And your prayer in your home is better than praying in your house. And your prayer in your quarters is better than praying in your home. And your prayer in your own bedroom is better than praying in your quarters. So the Prophet is minimizing the space and isolating women from any type of exposure. And the more exclusive it is for her to pray in her home, the better it is for her reward. But if she wants to pray in the masjid, so be it, no problem. Haslin says, if I joined any authentic Islamic groups on WhatsApp, but I don't see or concentrate on anything they post, will I be sinful? No. There's no sin on that. There's no obligation that I read anything that they post on their group, because no one can say that it's an obligatory thing to do. Holy says, we have people here, a group of Muslims in the Netherlands, who say to every Muslim in the Dutch parliament that they are kafirs. Is this correct, Sheikh? Definitely not. These people are ISIS or NISIS associated. These are Khawarij. Giving takfir without a legitimate reason, without fulfilling the conditions and eliminating the obstacles, is a trademark of the Khawarij. And I know in Germany, I know personally in the UK, in the Netherlands, there are so many of these youth who, in addition to poverty, when they see video clips of atrocities of the Muslims being bombarded by American planes or British forces, they have this hatred to anything that is Christian. When they hear the American president, the former one, saying that this is the crusade against Afghanistan and Iraq, they said, oh, it's a crusade, so it's Christianity against Islam. Shaitan, ignorance, these video clips, the brainwashing, the ignorance that dominate their circles, all contribute to making them radicals, extremists and terrorists. And this is why the likes of me are prevented from entering UK, for example. Because we give da'wah from the Qur'an and Sunnah. We tell people not to be violent. We tell people to obey the laws of the country, not to take benefits, haram, by lying. All of these things, anyone would think that, that's positive. That's building a law-abiding citizen's character. But this is not what these governments want. They want the Muslims to be submissive, to melt in the melting pot, to dilute their religion. They don't want them to abide by the hijab. What we present is Islam from the Qur'an and the Sunnah, with the understanding of the companions and the tabi'een and the tabi'een. Easy. Are we violent? Definitely not. Are we calling people to chaos and mishap and to go against their governments? Definitely not. But this is what they do not want. They want people to help these youngsters to become radical. So it gives us the motive and the justification to raid the Islamic centers, to imprison Muslims, and to fight and ban the niqab, and to attack the Islamic schools and their curriculums and syllabus. Oh, subhanallah, it's a big issue. So, akhi, those in the Netherlands, and I've spoken to many of takfiris, such as these people in the UK, when I used to go there like 5-6 times a year. And I loved it. But I was forced to stop when I was prevented visa from the Prime Minister herself, Theresa May. So I stopped. But I spoke with many people of takfir, youngsters, and they were so enthusiastic and they're willing to throw a punch at me or to condemn me and accuse me of kufr myself. But alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah, talking to them in a diplomatic way, in a logical way, it opened the eyes of so many of them, alhamdulillah, and helped them leave this rotten ideology. So these groups of Muslims, stay away from them. If you have their phone numbers, delete it. Any emails, delete it. They're bad news. And you should warn people from them. Last question maybe from Isra. She says, orphan woman, no male in life, and only has close female cousins. In short, can she travel? The answer is no. Traveling from one city to the other without the company of a male mahram is totally prohibited. Traveling within the city limits, there's no problem even doing that alone. Okay. Riaz says, is Bitcoin share permissible? The answer is no. And I have a 9-minute video on my YouTube. Just type in Google search Bitcoin plus Assim Al-Hakeem, and you'll get that inshallah, and I hope it's convincing. Jamila says, is the transaction haram after the second adhan in an environment where women operates like saloons and spas? Jamila is referring to the second adhan of Friday prayer, Jumu'ah. And this is the transaction after the second adhan is void and haram for those obliged to pray in the masjid. So if I have a shop in Maastricht or in Amsterdam, and the shop is operated by women selling food, and the customers coming to buy are other women, or it's a saloon or children or non-Muslims, there's no problem in selling them and buying from them because they're not obliged to pray the Jumu'ah, and Allah knows best. Of course, selling men who are disbelievers is not permissible, but selling other women, children, etc., yeah, this is okay. The last question says, Ummi Salama, do you have to make niyyah before every work we do? If someone does some good deed forgetting to make niyyah to please Allah but not to please anyone else, will he be his deeds accepted? The answer is yes. But of course, if I walked on the streets and someone smiles in my face and I smile back, not intending it to be a charity, my reward is less than when I actually smile anticipating the reward from Allah, knowing that this is something pleasing Allah. But yes, everything good that you do, you will be rewarded for that, whether you have an intention to please Allah or not. The more you have the intention to please Allah, the higher the reward is, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have, and until we meet next time, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.